This is the Rush Discush, where the discuss is Rush. Welcome to another episode of the Rush Discush.
Yes, welcome back. We are discussing a brand new bracket. We are in the leftovers bracket, and we are on the pairing of Cut to the Chase versus Peaceable Kingdom.
Yeah, so both of these albums are very much more rockish, rock forward, power trio again. None of the synths really, as far as being like a main focus. There are still some synths in there in the mix, but as a texture more. And so it's really digging back to their roots of power trio. And so it's a cool comparison also, because Counterparts is very much considered like the band, like a lot of people consider it as they're finally back. This is finally Rush again for the people who don't like the synth era. And then contrast that with Vapor Trails, where it's yet again we have Rush again, because nobody knew that there would ever be a Rush again because of Neil's tragedies and him not wanting to do music. And so it was pretty much like, well, it was a good run, but Rush isn't happening. And so then to have it come back and have that be the album that was put forward, it's awesome.
Yeah, I do like Vapor Trails a lot for that reason. It has like a soft spot in my heart every time it pops up when I'm like shuffling all of Rush, and anything from Vapor Trails pops up and I'm just like, Vapor Trails. And what an interesting pairing of songs. I feel like they're not similar at all, but maybe they are in some way similar to you. I feel like they're completely different.
Yeah, I think that they are very much different.
Okay.
Because so Cut to the Chase is more just a straight ahead rocker type thing. Have an epic solo from Alex. You've got just very clear everything, very straightforward vocals. The lyrics are building on a theme that Alex has written about throughout all of his lyrics.
So
I guess all of his albums. There's, continuing that thread that was started with Anthem, and then, the likes of Mission, just that theme of that if you're gonna live life, go live it. If you're gonna do something, give your best. That the motivations that build us have to come within. Nobody can force you to do it, and you shouldn't be trying to do it for anybody else.
Wait, you said Alex?
If I did, I misspoke.
Yeah, you said Alex,
Neil.
and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, wait, did I just like not know that somehow Alex wrote these lyrics?
Yeah, he's the ghostwriter the whole time.
I'm like, what? Okay, yeah, you meant to say Neil.
Yeah, I meant to say Neil.
I'm like sitting here not that I was just waiting for you to stop talking so I could talk, but my brain was like reeling. So I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm sorry.
No, in my ears and head, I said Neil, but it must have come out Alex. You said Alex,
and so that's why I'm staring at you. I'm like, what is he talking about? Okay, no, yes, yeah. Neil's lyrics, yes.
Yes.
Do we want to start with the intro of Cut to the Chase?
Yeah, so go ahead and start that one up.
It is the fire that lights itself, but it burns with a restless flame.
I like that Getty moment.
The arrow on a moving
Getty's bass tone in this is awesome.
The archer must be sure of his aim. It is the engine that drives itself.
It's such a cool intro.
Yeah. I like that it doesn't add anything else for that second time, because a lot of times songs will just add that next layer right there, and they hold it off until here.
And it's cool how they kind of build the layers. It kind of starts sparse, and they add a layer, and they add a layer, and then it just gets thicker and thicker, and it builds.
Yeah. We cut it out right before it started to go
Can't
crazy.
stop. Yeah, it's such. Okay, I'm trying to remember if it's this song or if it's a different song that consistently across the board people do not like this song. I can't remember if it's this one or if it's a different. Okay, it was a different.
Yeah.
I can't for my life of me remember which one I'm thinking of then.
I mean, there's a decent amount.
Well, there are, but there was one that like historically people do not like, and I was like, is it this one? I'm like, it can't be this one because it's so good. So it's not this one. Never mind. Ignore me. I was thinking of something else.
Yeah.
But such a good song. I actually love this song. It's one of my favorites from Counterparts. A couple of years ago, I want to say like maybe 2021. That was when like I kind of dove into like the world of being an entrepreneur and learning about business and starting my own business. Nothing to do with Rush. My day job is a pregnancy postpartum coach / I work for an online business.
That
social-
shirt that you're wearing.
Oh yeah, this is a work shirt. I work in social media, really. Anyways, at that time I had my own business, and I mean, I guess it technically still exists. Anyway, this song really spoke to me and really meant a lot to me at the time, because I was really new and starting social media and just start business and like all new skills. And then I was really figuring out who I was and who I wanted to be as a business owner. And so then this song was like, the lyrics that, I'm going to grab your phone, sorry, that really spoke to me were, is this the right one? Is this the right song that I pulled up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You may be right. It's all a waste of time. I guess that's just a chance I'm prepared to take, a danger I'm prepared to face. Cut to the chase. And because like I feel like when you start something new, everyone in your life just thinks you're cringy and like dumb and like who does that person think they are? And I was just so determined to do this new thing. And I was just like, yeah, you may be right. This may be a waste of time, but I was just like, I'm going to do this. And so then this song really stuck with me during that season of my life. And then now I still just love it now. But it's just such an awesome, like, yeah, I'm going to do this kind of a song. But then also it sounds really cool.
Yeah. Like I was saying before, just building on that theme of do it because it's your passion. Do it because you love it, not because it fits in with whatever other people think about you.
Well, that's very much Rush, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
And all of us as fans too. Like people don't get us, and that's fine. I mean, we have a whole podcast about Rush, like, but yeah, it's like, just do your thing. And something else, did you want to say anything else about the lyrics before we go on about the music?
I just like the theme that I like the I like whenever Neil, but then anytime anybody does a contrast, like gets you to look at the same thing from different perspectives, all within the same piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the part, the lyrics, young enough not to care too much about the way things used to be. I'm young enough to remember the future. The past has no claim on me. I'm old enough not to care too much about what you think of me, but I'm young enough to remember the future and the way things ought to be.
I mean, my gosh, Neil. All of his lyrics, I feel, are amazing, but like, gosh, what a gem. And like, you wouldn't really know about it. Really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know if you would consider Cut to the Chase a deep cut, because Counterparts is fairly popular, but also like nobody talks about Cut to the Chase. And so I'm like, you would never know like about these lyrics.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even as someone who listens to a lot of Russian, who has just over the course of my life listened to all these songs so many times, I forget the lyrics. Like, it's easy to just have it on and take it all as just like its own complete package. But when you stop and break down, what is the message being conveyed here? What is the central theme of this song? It really helps open your eyes and ears to what they're doing, because it's not just like they aren't just a band to take some lyrics and be like, let's just put this cool music to it and boom, we've got a song. It's how do we serve the lyrics and how do we serve the song with everything that we're doing? And they took that upon themselves as musicians and as professionals to do that, so that it's not just we're just mass producing music. We're just getting this album out because we need to get it out. It's how are we serving the song and how are we serving these lyrics? And so understanding the lyrics helps you understand the music. And I think that's probably why it's hard for the general public to get into Rush, because they don't necessarily click with the music all the time. And most people don't have the patience or the desire to look at the lyrics at the same time as they're listening, or to even consider what the lyrics are even talking about.
Well, let's be real. Most people across the board don't get past Getty's voice. Or they don't enjoy a lot of the melodies that may not be as mainstream, because they really did play a lot with different melodies that were not really like, quote, normal that you'd hear on the radio. And sorry, that's good. And so then, yeah, you miss out on so much. And so I kind of want to switch gears because there's something I want to point out. A moment that I really like musically in this song. So I'm a violinist. I've mentioned before I went to school for music, and so my brain thought of a Bach piece. So let me back up. So the solo in Cut to the Chase, not the entire thing, but the very, very beginning where Alex explodes, the guitar comes in and it's like super fast and super crazy, and then he kind of goes into what he's doing. It reminds me so much of the very beginning of a Bach unaccompanied solo violin piece, the Presto from, oh my gosh, G minor?
G minor.
G minor, sorry. Wow, I have a music degree. Sorry, I'm very tired. Lest you forget, we have 5 children and record this podcast after they all go to bed. We're trying our best. Anyway, G minor. So the beginning of the solo, you know, it goes like whatever. It's
Do you want me to play?
Yeah, I was like, we should play the beginning of the solo, and then I'm going to show you what it reminds me of in the violin piece.
All right, so that's about 2:42, and the song to lead into the solo.
Yeah, so just that little tiny bit reminds me of this beginning of this violin solo. Yeah, just that bit. Like that every time it pops up and I listen to it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that reminds me of Bach. Every time. And I don't think that Alex did it intentionally. I don't think he even knows that exists. Maybe he does. I don't know. But that's where my violinist brain goes. And so I love that moment because then it also reminds me of Bach. And so I'm like, wow, this is so cool. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out, that I really like that part of the song.
Yeah, I've always loved that solo. Just like you say, the explosive nature of it. And I think it really does serve the lyrics of the song, because that is Alex's passion on display there. And he's not going to take a traditional path on the guitar anyway. And so then I do think it's kind of funny that he's kind of subverting the song to an extent, because he does do a very straightforward rock type of solo where it's shredding. It's what people expect a guitar solo to be.
Yeah.
But that isn't his typical style.
It isn't, which is why I liked it so much. And then also, it sounds like Bach. It's so cool. But yeah, I wanted to bring that up. And then I don't have the timestamp for this. I don't think you can be able to find it. But a moment I really enjoy in this song is towards the end of the song when they've got the piano riff, which anytime piano is brought into Rush is also really cool, because they don't use piano a whole lot, but they do sprinkle it in here and there. But they've got this piano riff that that gets repeated a couple of times towards the end of the song, and then at the last time it happens, the bass mimics it. And I had never noticed that before until I listened to it again this week, and I was like, that is such a cool moment. Like, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, you'll just have to go and
You
listen
just
for
have to
that
go
when
listen to it. Yeah, go find it and let me know what timestamp.
But I love moments like that. The setting up expectations and then subverting the expectations, call and response, just things playing on the pattern seeking nature of our brains, because really that's what makes music interesting. Is you have an idea and it's cool, but if you just have that idea happen over and over again, it's cool the first time that it repeats,
Yeah.
and then the second time it repeats, you're like, okay, are we going to do something else? And then you get bored if it just keeps going on.
More totally.
But you can use that to your advantage by setting people up to expect it and then change it. And I think that that's what makes Rush so successful in their songwriting, because they know how to create the tension. They know how to just instinctively ride that wave of generating interest through our pattern seeking, and then they don't typically play the same part twice.
I was about to say, like, we've said this, I mean, years ago when we started the podcast, I said this, that they never do the same thing twice. And that is what makes it such good music, and what it makes it such quality writing and music making, is that they don't make it predictable and they keep it interesting. And you don't really notice that unless you're really listening for it. I kind of think about, like, this is not the song we're talking about, but it makes me think of Time Stand Still, where the bass fills are different every single time. And of course, there's my favorite one that I got to hear in person at the concert. Oh my gosh. Anyway, but that's just an example of, like, he could have done the same bass fill every time, like any other conventional song, but they don't. And it's just really cool that they give that attention to quality and interest. And it's really cool that we can talk about those different things. But I don't have anything else about Cut to the Chase. Do you?
Oh, I don't think so. It's pretty much a pretty straightforward
Yeah, cut
song.
to the chase, Adam. Let's go. Okay, well then should we move on to its competitor, which is Peaceable Kingdom?
Yes, Peaceable Kingdom from Vapor Trails. So when we're going to play this, and I love the original mix as much as a lot of people dislike it. And so this intro that we are going to play is going to be the original mix. But I will say, the more that I've listened to the original mix and the new mix, I think I've figured out part of what makes the original mix so hard for people to consume. It sounds really great on a good set of monitoring headphones. It sounds really good on higher quality speakers.
The new mix does.
The old mix.
The old mix.
The old mix does. And so I think part of what made it so difficult for people to get into, and why it's always referred to as being so muddy and undiscernible, is because at the time it came out, the general public did not have great headphones. They did not have great speakers. They didn't have things that they could listen to and have the mix decisions shine. But now, as better technology, better speakers, headphones have become more easily accessible to everybody, and that's more people are able to have these higher quality ways to listen. I think you can, if it's been a while since you've listened to it just because you've written it off as being just terrible, I would say go back and listen with your better stuff now, because I think it'll be easier to hear those mixed decisions.
I totally agree.
And I think the new one suffers because it took away a lot of the stuff that made it so interesting to listen to, which I'll get into more after we listen to the intro.
All right, there we go.
So I love that it's Geddy that takes more of the rhythm guitar. He takes up more of the rhythm guitar space. He's doing those chords, or I guess technically just double stops on the bass, because it's just two notes that he's playing there.
Yeah.
But he's taking the role of what a guitar would typically do, of doing the
Yeah, they're really powerful. Those very sparse sounding, but also like thick notes.
and what makes it so thick also is he's got a lot of effects on his bass to give it that fuzz and distortion that typically a lead guitar would have on it, or a lead rhythm guitar, if however you want to be pedantic about describing it. But that's something that suffers so much in the new mix. The new mix completely strips his tone and turns it into something else. It turns it into a background character and tries to turn it into a guitar forward song, which it wasn't a guitar forward song. The whole point of the guitar in this song is to be a texture. It fills the role of the synth, which I think is kind of funny, where now the guitar is deliberately stepping into the background and deliberately becoming a texture, whereas for the synth era, it was Alex having to figure out how to work around the synths, and kind of forced to be a more background.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a cool choice to deliberately put himself in the background and replace the synths with his guitar. And so a lot of the times there's not a discernible guitar part for a lot of it, because he's meant to be just that texture that, holding a chord on a nice juicy synth would be filling. And I think that's part of what people missed about the original mix, is that the guitar wasn't meant to be front and center all the time. It was meant to be a texture. And a lot of people aren't used to experiencing a guitar as a texture. They're used to it being a solo instrument, or being something that you can hear all the notes specifically what they're doing, and being kind of out in front. But this song especially is Geddy forward.
Yeah. That is something I like about it a lot. This is an interesting one for me because I love the chorus. I think it has some really cool moments, especially with the guitar, the texture of the guitar. And also I really enjoy some of the lyrics. And the only thing that this one I struggle with is I don't love the choice that they made for the main melody. It's kind of very like one note, I guess. It's not one note, but it's not my favorite melody they've ever written. But it also feel like it was deliberate in how they're telling the story and how they're conveying the lyrics. And so then like I kind of see what they were doing, but it's like not my favorite thing to listen to, not counting the chorus.
So that's another thing that it depends on which version you're listening to, because the new mix completely destroyed the intent of the melody.
Yeah.
It took away, it made all the vocals just like, it really cut them strange, used different takes, and there's just not a cohesiveness of the different overdubs and everything, because it fits the concept of the lyrics way better in the original mix, because you have the harmonies that they're like subtly edging each other out. They take sometimes the harmony will come forward and be the more present, like the more forward one, and then fade back again. And so then it's like the melody is almost kind of suggested in the middle of the harmonies, in the middle of what Geddy is doing, because the lyrics are about the disjointed nature of, I mean, the lyrics were written as a direct response to the 9/11 attacks. And so it's the whole concept of what are we doing? What is going on? Like, it's the reasonable against the masses of unreasonable, and trying to sort this out. So it's like there's chaos going on in the background, and then you get this like through line of a rational mind trying to sort out what is happening and how they feel about all of this. And so I think it's one of those where the melody isn't intended to be necessarily a melody, but it's more of a representation of what is going on in the general landscape of things. And so then when the chorus happens, that's when the individual is then representative of what they wish would happen. And so it's very thematic, and I think it's an easy one to kind of miss when you don't just sit with the lyrics and try to understand what the overall message is, and then put onto that context, then put on the musical context.
That makes it make a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's a very deep and layered song.
It is definitely like one you can stick on in the background that you can really enjoy, but then also dig into like, wait, what's actually going on here?
Yeah.
And it makes you really want to like focus more on what's happening. On a completely not deep at all note about this song, after that beautiful explanation that you just gave, something that just straight up makes me laugh. I have notes written down about what I wanted to say, and all it says is, hey, LOL next to it, because that beginning has always just cracked me up when I listen to it when Getty's doing his hey at the beginning of the song.
Yeah, they did him dirty, especially with that part in the new mix.
Yeah, like I just wrote down LOL. That's it. That's the only comment I have. There's nothing deep about it other than that beginning has always cracked me up. I feel like they don't do that often. Like they don't do a whole lot of like nonsense things. Like obviously between Sun and Moon, they've got the whole oh yes to yes thing, but like you don't hear a lot of like hey like stuff like that. Like
Yeah, just the vocalizing.
Like you do hear it. Like he does a lot of O's and stuff like that, but not like Hayes. But also that's very 2000s. And so I love that he like added that in because it's very for the time. So that's why I like it as well. But did you have anything else you wanted to add?
About the haze?
No, just about the song.
Oh, I've got a lot about this song.
Well, you already have said. I mean, I have a feeling this is probably your choice today.
Oh, it most definitely is.
Oh my gosh, Adam.
Well, okay, so
Not oh my gosh because you chose it. Oh my gosh because I did not choose it.
I didn't figure you did.
Oh no.
So, and that's why I have a lot more to say, because I figured that I'd have to try to convince you over to this side.
Oh no.
Because
not oh no, like at this point of the podcast, but go ahead.
So I think that this song has only continued to age gracefully and continued to be even more and more relevant, because obviously it's a response to something that completely changed the United States, but it also like woke a lot of people up, and it's brought a lot of things to light. And I love the lyric, the chorus, talk of a peaceable kingdom, talk of a time without fear. The ones we wish would listen are never going to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And because, I mean, you look at, so a lot of people at the time that those attacks happened, it came seemingly out of nowhere, like, oh my gosh, why did this happen? And then the line that was fed was, they hate us because of our freedom. They just can't stand that we're so free and so awesome. And so that's why they did it. But now it's much more widely accepted that, it didn't just come out of the blue. If you look at what the U.S. government was doing years, decades before, you see how it all progressed. And so the leaders of the United States government and of other governments throughout the world, the people who are making the choices that are keeping their populations at risk, they're the ones we wish would just hear the message of peace and wish that they would just stop doing these things, but they're never going to hear it. There's no incentive for them to make it peaceful. And so it is kind of still, so the message that I take from it is, rather than focusing so much on changing upward, because that's not going to happen. The people who are so entrenched in what they're doing, it's not like you're going to tell them something they don't already know, and they're just going to continue doing this cycle. But what we can do is we can try to live our best life. We can try to affect change around us on a smaller level, and those little changes can eventually downstream hopefully bring about this peaceable kingdom. And so I think it's stayed very relevant because of that. But then another layer of it that I love is the tarot cards, like using the imagery and the metaphors in the tarot cards, which, the ones he chose. So he's got like justice against the hanged man, Knight of Wands against the Hour, Swords against the Kingdom, Time against the Tower. So you've got the Hanged Man, Knight of Wands, Swords, the Tower, all of these tarot cards being referenced, because if you look at the booklet, also they've got all the tarot cards in there in the album artwork. And so then it makes the next line, all this time we're shuffling and laying out all our cards while a billion other dealers are slipping past our guards. All this time we're hoping and praying we all might learn while a billion other teachers are teaching them how to burn. And so it's like we're trying to find meaning in all of these things that are happening, while other people are teaching a different meaning. And we're trying to, we as in those of us who are seeking to be rational, those of us who are seeking peace, we are trying to spread that message while other people are teaching the message of war, teaching the message of fire. And so just this contrast back and forth.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just the meanings of the cards, I think, when you look at it. So there's a justice card, meaning judgment, fairness, clarity, on one hand, and also unfairness, guilt, and punishment on the other. The Hanged Man, deep insight, change, release, standstill, sacrifice, lack of control. So each of the cards have two meanings as well. And so then it's like justice against the Hanged Man. So it's like the idea of balancing action against inaction. And if you go through, I'm not going to go through all of the cards that he references, but if you go through each of them, it'll just make those lyrics really pop out, and really just creates this struggle in the lyrics. It creates the idea of going back and forth, weighing your options, trying to find what road you should take while holding a peaceable kingdom as your goal, but also recognizing that it's not likely to happen because we ultimately don't have control over that. And so how do we live in a world where we don't have control? Which is a very important message, because a lot of times we think that, if I just vote for so-and-so, everything will change, and then nothing changes and we get more death and destruction. And it's if we keep tying all of our hopes and dreams onto other people, are we ever going to have peace for ourselves. And so I think for me, the message that I take from the song now, not necessarily the message that was put into the lyrics, um, but that's the great thing about art is over time it can grow with us. The message that I take from it now is that the peaceable kingdom can be within, but we have to let it be there, and we have to allow ourselves to change and not let others dictate whether or not we change just because they aren't pursuing the same aims that we have.
Well, that was, I mean, so while you were talking, I realized I changed my mind on how I said, I was like, I don't really love the melody at the beginning, and like I like the chorus, but not really what they did with it. But now what I'm understanding now is that was, at least my interpretation is, it's intentional to have it be so contrasting between like the almost like gritty, monotonous, like here's what it is, and it's not like a beautiful melody. It's just like Getty's just laying it down of like, this is what we're talking about, and then you got kind of like it completely contrasted with Dream of a Peaceful Kingdom, and it's just beautiful melody that you're just like, almost you get relief, and you're like, oh, this chorus is such a relief after like brr, 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 like of like what they're saying. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. It's contrast, and it was intentional. At least maybe it was intentional.
I mean, I think it was definitely intentional with
Yeah.
the harmonies that Getty does.
Well, and the harmonies are not pretty during the non-chorus parts, and then it goes into this flowing, relaxing almost chorus that you're like, that's just not what was just happening. And now that makes more sense as to why, which is makes this song even cooler.
And I love too, like so the guitar has just kind of like been texture for most of it, but then at the end it shoots forward and has this epic riff, which then, gosh, I just love this song so much. But because it finally breaks through. It's got this just chugging quality, and then the song just devolves into chaos again. Like it has these moments. It starts just kind of like this glimmering thing, and then it layers and layers, just this dense texture, to then, as you said, get the release in the choruses. But then the end of the song, it just kind of, it has a moment again of clarity in the chaos, and then it just descends back into chaos with you get Alex having kind of referencing his own riff that he just introduced, but adding in all these harmonics, which means that he's like lightly putting his fingers on the strings and moving around, and you just hear like these squeaking notes at the end of the song. And so it's like taking these ideas, the idea comes forward, and then deconstructs that idea all at the end of the song.
It's so cool.
It's just, the songwriting in this album is just incredible. But this song, like, I've always liked this song, but it was never one that I like. I would never like pick it out of all of the other tracks. If I was just going to listen to one or two from the album, it would be like, if I'm doing a listen through, I'm not going to skip it, but it's not necessarily my favorite. But now, being able to really sit with the lyrics and sit with what they're doing musically, it's one of my favorites now on the album.
Well, now I feel silly talking about how he says "hey" at the beginning, because that has nothing to do with anything that you just brought up. But I just thought it was funny. But now I feel dumb. No, I think this was a really good discussion, and my initial gut reaction was cut to the chase, just because of my personal connection with the song, of my choice being that. But like, I really do love it a lot. But now that I'm understanding more about the intentional contrast and the text painting and all of that, and just how deep it all is. Like both of them are deep though. That's the thing is like both of them are deep. So I think like to my core, I still want to pick Cut to the Chase, but knowing that I feel like Peaceable Kingdom just edges it out just barely.
I think what makes me want to stick with Peaceable Kingdom is like if I had to pick one of these, the amount of time that you could still continue to deconstruct this song and continue to find layers and layers on it.
It's true. Like Cut to the Chase definitely is deep, but I feel like it's pretty easy to kind of get the gist of it, and then that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then this one is a lot more introspective and a lot of layers, a lot deeper. I can't think of the word topic, I guess, content of it. But yeah, this is interesting. I forgot to bring this up before, that we always do a community poll in our Instagram stories about 24 hours before we record, just to see what you guys choose. So always check out our Instagram, probably around Tuesday-ish. The beginning of the week, check our Instagram stories to make your vote. And it was Cut to the Chase was the choice, which originally I had chosen Cut to the Chase. So I'm like, haha, yeah, that's what I choose. But now I'm like, dang, I do think I am going to choose Peaceful Kingdom. I don't know why we do this podcast, Adam, but it is so hard every single time.
I know.
What have you done? Anyway, no, this is fun. This is super fun. And I mean, are we making a decision here, Adam?
I think so. I don't, because I definitely wanted to see through this conversation if I would switch over to Cut to the Chase.
Is the Bach moment not tempting enough for you?
I do think that it is a much more accessible melody, much more accessible.
Oh, it's for sure more accessible.
In Cut to the Chase, but I think, interestingly enough, I think if we had done this a few years ago, I think I would have picked Cut
I think
to the
you
Chase.
would have too. Honestly, this whole conversation that we just had, I feel like is the epitome of just your growth in the last couple of years. And this is also, I kind of brought this up maybe in our recap episode, not recap, but like our life update episode. We are completely different people from when we first started this podcast, and that needs to be pointed out. Like, I need to make a post about it on Instagram. Like, we are not the people we were when we started this podcast, and so this is like really an interesting thing to come back to it after so long, and being different people, different parents. We only had 2 kids when we started this podcast. We have 5 now with twins, but still, like, you explaining why you chose this one today, like, has been the result of years of study and like just progression as a person. And so, yeah, you're right. You would have chosen Cut to the Chase. And I don't dislike Peaceful Kingdom. I never did. I just liked Cut to the Chase more before. And now I'm like, no, yeah, Peaceful Kingdom for sure.
Yeah, I think, because musically, even a few years ago, I've always enjoyed Vapor Trails, and I enjoyed the amount of time I had to listen to it for it to start clicking. But now, like, because for a while I was like deep into like really weird music, like really abstruse and just like deliberately complicated and deliberately just like stuff that people, like, if you listen to it, you're like, what is this? This doesn't even sound good. Because I was interested in trying to find what was interesting about the music and kind of exploring what music is, and all the stuff that you would do if you went to music school. But which
there.
I didn't.
I did that.
And so then it gave me more appreciation for things that you can't get right away, that it's okay to have something sound bad or or look bad, or you give your initial response is, I really don't like this. It's okay for that to be your initial response, but if you immediately say, therefore there was no skill involved, and therefore I think that this is just worthless, I think it's better for you to sit with that discomfort, question, why is it that I don't like this? Because sometimes the answer is there really is no skill involved. It is just
Yeah, but
garbage.
not the majority of the time. That's not the
Exactly.
case. Yeah.
And so being able to sit with that discomfort and then examine why it is that you don't care for it, and then look for the skill. And then once you understand what went into making it and understand the concept that they're working with, you can appreciate it, and then you can better understand if you like it or not. Because I think, like we see it in classical music, you can even just pick any symphony from a master composer from Romantic period and before, and it's not like there's anything super crazy going on there. It's all stuff that our ears, even as modern listeners, are not going to be immediately turned away from. But if you listen to one, you're not immediately going to be like, oh yeah, this is so wonderful. It will take a few listens for you to start peeling back the layers there. And I think we do a disservice to musicians and to Rush when we just go with our initial reaction, that it's worthwhile to sit with an artist for a little bit, get to know what they've done musically, get to know kind of their trademarks in there, and then begin to judge for yourself if it's something that you like or not.
Which is our way of saying, everyone go listen to Rush, all
Yes.
you haters. No, but really, that is a very important turning point to have as a person that consumes music. And it's not like you have to go to music school, but that is a lot of conversations that you have in music school, especially as you get towards the end and you're looking at more like 20th century modern music that you may not understand, like John Cage and almost a counterpoint, 12 tone and like things that just don't sound very good, atonal anything.
Mm-hmm.
And but then when you, like listen to Hidden Myth and you're like, what is happening? Like that is a very important realization to have, I guess. And so then being able to work through that and then apply it to Rush is really cool, and to any music, but applying it to Rush where you can be like, what are they doing here? Especially with, the music of Rush, when Neil did put a lot of time and attention into these lyrics. Like, what was he saying? Like, he was very introspective and very serious about the things that he read and the things that he learned and his progression as a person. And so then it's doing a disservice, I think, to Neil to not dig into some of these songs. I'm not saying all of them have to be winners, but like, Peaceable Kingdom, like there's so much left on the table if you just don't dig into it. So I think that was a really good conversation, a really good topic to bring up. And I guess that wraps up our choice of Peaceable Kingdom is the winner of this pairing.
Yeah. And it actually leads into something. So we have an episode planned, not for next week and not necessarily
in the near future.
Yeah. But we actually want you to leave a comment either on this video on YouTube or send us a message on Instagram or any of the other socials. And we'll have a post about it also, but we want to find what songs of Rush that you don't like. We want to compile a list.
Yes.
Because what we want to do is explore the question, is there such thing as a bad Rush song? Because a lot of times, a lot of people will say, oh, there's no such thing as a bad Rush song. And other people say, hardcore, these songs are just terrible, absolute garbage. And so we want to kind of explore that a little bit and have kind of what we've been talking about here, but like a more in-depth discussion about that sort of stuff.
That episode will be coming up soon. So send us what you think about those songs or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain short-circuited there. I'm, again, very tired.
Yeah.
But we did it. We made it through, and that was a good one.
Yeah. Thanks for spending your time with us. Feel free to subscribe and leave a comment and share it with people because we want everybody to go ahead and listen to some Rush.
Almost an hour episode.